Before World War II, the sky was a symbol of freedom, but by 1945, it had become a weapon. Cities burned from above, entire fleets vanished beneath the ocean. Battles were won or lost before soldiers ever saw the enemy. For the first time in history, humanity learned that war would no longer be decided only on the ground, but in the air. Young pilots, some barely out of school, climbed into fragile machines of metal and fuel, knowing that within minutes they might face death at 30,000 feet. Dogfights lasted seconds. Bombing raids lasted hours. The consequences lasted generations. This was not just a clash of armies. It was a race for air superiority, a technological revolution, a fight to control the sky itself. From the terror of the Junkers Ju-77 Stuka screaming over Europe, to the defiance of the Supermarine Spitfire over Britain, from aircraft carriers in the Pacific, to the first jet fighters ever used in combat, World War II transformed aviation forever, and the world would never look up at the sky the same way again.
By 1939, the major powers had drawn very different lessons from World War I. Germany rebuilt its air arm in secret. The Luftwaffe was designed for speed, coordination, and tactical dominance. Its backbone fighter, the Messerschmitt Bf-109, was fast, heavily armed, and modern. All metal construction, enclosed cockpit, retractable landing gear. Britain's Royal Air Force focused on air defense. It invested not only in aircraft, but in radar. The United States, still officially neutral, maintained the United States Army Air Corps, small in 1939, but industrially unmatched. Japan built its doctrine around naval aviation. Aircraft carriers were central to its strategy in the Pacific. The Soviet Union possessed vast numbers of aircraft, but many were outdated, and experienced officers had been purged. The technology was ready. The pilots were trained. All that remained was war.
September 1939. Poland. German forces introduced a terrifying doctrine, Blitzkrieg. Central to it was air-ground coordination. The dive bomber, Junkers Ju-87 Stuka, screamed as it descended. Sirens mounted on its landing gear amplified psychological terror. Bridges collapsed. Railroads shattered. Communication lines vanished. Tanks advanced behind a curtain of air power. In France, 1940, the pattern repeated. German fighters cleared the skies. Bombers disrupted retreating forces. The speed was overwhelming. The coordination unprecedented. For a time, Germany appeared unstoppable.
Summer 1940. Hitler turns west. The objective: destroy British air defenses. The Battle of Britain becomes the first campaign fought entirely in the air. Wave after wave of bombers crossed the Channel. They were met by the Supermarine Spitfire and the Hawker Hurricane. But Britain's real advantage was invisible. Radar stations along the coast detected incoming raids. Information flowed into centralized command rooms. Fighters were scrambled only when necessary. Efficiency replaced guesswork. The Luftwaffe could not destroy the RAF. Air superiority was never achieved. Germany postponed invasion indefinitely. For the first time in the war, Nazi expansion had been stopped. As the war expanded, air power shifted focus. The target was no longer just armies. It was factories, oil refineries, rail networks, entire cities. The United States deployed the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress.
flying at high altitude in tight formations, protected by heavy defensive guns. Later, long-range escort fighters like the P-51 Mustang would extend protection deep into Germany. Britain relied on the Avro Lancaster for night raids. Hamburg, Dresden. Industrial regions turned into firestorms. The human cost was immense. Strategic bombing crippled production but devastated civilian populations. Air power had become industrialized destruction.
December 7, 1941. Pearl Harbor. Japanese carrier aircraft changed naval warfare overnight. The agile Mitsubishi A6M Zero dominated early combat. But American industry surged. The Grumman F-6F Hellcat and Vought F-4U Corsair gradually seized control of the skies. At the Battle of Midway, 4 Japanese carriers were lost in a single day. From that moment forward, air superiority in the Pacific slowly shifted toward the United States. Aircraft carriers had replaced battleships as kings of the sea.
On the Eastern Front, scale defined everything. Germany deployed the Focke-Wulf FW-190. The Soviets mass-produced the Yakovlev Yak-3, and the heavily armored Ilyushin IL-2 attacked tanks at low altitude. Thousands of aircraft clashed across vast distances. Air warfare directly influenced the outcome of massive ground offensives. By 1944, Soviet air power helped push German forces back toward Berlin.
In 1944, the first operational jet fighter entered combat, the Messerschmitt Me 262. It was faster than any Allied aircraft, nearly untouchable in speed, but too few, too late. Rocket-powered interceptors like the Messerschmitt Me 163 Comet pushed physics to the limit. Then came the final transformation. A Boeing B-29 Superfortress carried a single weapon capable of ending cities: Hiroshima, Nagasaki. In less than 40 years, aviation had evolved from fragile experiment to atomic delivery system.
World War II permanently reshaped aviation. Air forces became independent military branches. Jets replaced propellers. Aircraft carriers ruled the oceans. Control of the sky became the foundation of modern military power. The war for the skies was brutal, revolutionary, decisive. And every modern aircraft flying today carries the legacy of those years when humanity turned the sky into a battlefield.